Hello, this is Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. This is Bill Morton, President of the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. I am Trudy Leong, Administrator at the Rogers Park Chamber of Commerce. Our very special guest today is Maria Drell. She is with the Brazilian Cultural Center of Chicago. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Trudy.
Welcome.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Thank you for having me and for inviting me today
Oh,
to
thank you.
speak about the Brazilian Cultural Center.
Well, thank you for all your work. How long have you been at the center, and what made you start the center in the first place?
Well, the Brazilian Cultural Center was founded about 23 years ago. It's a nonprofit cultural organization that's been in existence for 23 years. And our purpose is to promote and disseminate information about the diverse cultures of Brazil. Even though we don't have a physical location, we do event throughout the city of Chicago and work in collaboration with different organizations.
So, where in Chicago are there the most Brazilian people?
Actually, the Brazilian community is actually spread out throughout Chicago and the suburbs. So we are located in Edgewater, as our office is located there. However, whenever we do an event, we attract like the whole community, not only Brazilians, but people from throughout the city of Chicago.
So tell us about the Brazilian culture. Maybe some of our viewers don't know.
Well, there are different aspects of Brazilian culture. We are a very diverse country. Interestingly, we have Brazilian music, Brazilian culture, Brazilian food. So we have different regions. So the 5 regions of Brazil are very distinctive when it comes to culture. We have the largest population of people of African descent in Brazil. The second largest population of people from Polish descent. And then you go from different groups. So our culture is indigenous people of Brazil, people of African descent, people of Portuguese descent, and then we have European descent. So the whole aspects of different cultures, which now we say Brazilian culture, draws from different backgrounds, from people from different backgrounds. So it's very diverse, it's colorful, the food is delicious. So our main dish is called feijoada, which is Brazilian black beans with different types of meat. We can also make a vegetarian feijoada. So it's growing. We have over 200 million people in Brazil. We 27 states with all very dynamic culture.
So what about the music though?
Music, we draw from different roots, from Afro-Brazilian roots, from African roots, from indigenous people of Brazil. So we go from samba, and samba we have different types of samba because we have the carnival specific for this college samba. So like Rio de Janeiro, we call it samba from Rio. And then we have the samba bossa. We have bossa nova, which also draws from samba bossa jazz, which is a mixture of jazz, bossa nova, which is very, a lot of people know about it. Besides the one that we already know, which is the bossa nova and the jazz samba, we have forró, which kind of draws more from regional music and it's related to country music in Brazil. So throughout the northeast of Brazil, there's a lot of forró, which is supposed to, is a description of a party that's for everybody, like for all. So, carnival, samba, which we must know, samba, bossa nova, jazz, and different rhythms. So the diverse throughout Brazil, you have many rhythms. So it's kind of difficult to explain unless you're listening to it.
You know, a fun jazz with bossa nova song that I heard of the title. You ain't the boss of me.
You're in the bossa me?
Bossa, yeah.
That sounds very interesting. A lot of people know Sérgio Mendes also. Sérgio Mendes, well, one of the musicians that is known throughout the world. There are so many musicians from Brazil that.
So you spoke about the rhythm of Brazil, that it comes from a lot of different areas, but is there, like, let's say the samba of Rio, does that originate from the Spaniards, from the indigenous, or from the African?
So we have different, it comes from different roots. So basically samba is an Afro-Brazilian root, this type of music, with a lot of the indigenous elements.
And what about the food that you were talking about? Is that more from the indigenous too?
In relations to feijoada, which is the Brazilian black beans too, with meat and different types of vegetables, that's an African dish that you can find throughout the Americas. We have specific dishes. We have like moqueca, which is an Afro-Brazilian dish that is made with fish stew. It's a stew made with fish and vegetables. So it draws from indigenous community, the way we prepare it, and also from Portuguese. Portuguese, it depends how you cook and how you prepare the food. So it may come from different backgrounds.
At the grocery store, often I see the root crops like malanga, yuca. Do the Brazilians use that as well?
Yes, that's interesting because they actually, yuca, which we call mandioca in Brazil, we have different types, and in different regions, people have different names for it. But for the yuca, which we call aipim in Northeast, some people in the southeast of Brazil, they call it something like mandioquinha, like little manioc. And with the history of Brazil and with the transatlantic slave trade, manioc and manioc flour was actually from Brazil that went back to Africa. Now, when you go into the grocery store and you find a flour we call it gari, which is a kind of flour that comes from West Africa. We actually had it. It was from Brazil, the way you prepare it, the way you make it, and it went back to Africa. Wow. So when you look at food, it's kind of, it depends where you are in the region.
And it depends on the different people that use it and then live it, and then it changes from there a little bit. What about the people in the Chicago? As you bring different elements of Brazilian culture to the people of Chicago, how has those elements changed? Did Chicago change any of these Brazilian cultural elements?
Yes, we have. I've been in Chicago for over 39 years. So there have been a shift in how our culture is welcomed, how we present our culture. People in Chicago is very welcoming. As far as we've always had events throughout the city. So basically, whenever we say we're doing a Brazilian event, we draw from all different neighborhoods. So with the 77 neighborhoods, there's always like people coming from different areas, no matter where we are. which is very interesting because having a community that's so spread out, Brazilians tend to associate themselves with the neighborhood that represents their culture in Brazil. Like you may have Brazilian Italians, since we have a largest number of Italians in Brazil that will live in the Italian neighborhood. And then we have Japanese. We have the second largest population of Japanese outside of Japan. So like in the roads, so you have people of Japanese descent that will draw towards a community where you have more people of Japanese descent. The same thing with the Greeks. We see more Brazilians of Greek descent around the area of Sheridan Road in Chicago. So,
And with those 77 Chicago community areas, it's very rare to find a culture that is in all 77, that's represented well in all 77 community areas.
right, and and that's the interesting thing about Brazil, and it's the aspect of our culture is that we attract everyone. Everywhere you go, there's always somebody who either know a Brazilian or have been to Brazil or in some ways connected to Brazil. So when we do an event, that's when you see. I just did a recent event where we did. It was food. It was food based. Usually, all the events that we have to have some type of Brazilian food, and it was from Bahia, where I come from, in the northeast of Brazil, where we have mostly people of African descent. So we had from Bahia to the Bayou, which is food from Bahia that's similar to food of New Orleans. So there was an event that attracted people of African descent, African Americans, and people throughout the community. We usually attract people not just from one ethnic community, but from different ethnic communities in Chicago.
When people come to the events, maybe they have some stereotypes of Brazil, like the samba and maybe some of the food. So, what happens at the events that changes some of those preconceived stereotypes? How do people learn?
I believe that has changed over the years. People are more open, and I think that with the advancement of the internet, when people have learned more, like I go into the classroom, even the little kids, when I go and do a presentation about Brazil at the schools, at the elementary schools, the kids, the children, they are very familiar with Brazil. So it's not always expecting. And also we do a good job explaining at what type of event we're having. And I always say that even with the samba, with the traditional real samba, where they have all the feathers, even with that, as long as you present it in cultural specific ways, it should be fun, and people are comfortable with that. And I don't see any. Being here 40 years, I think it has been amazing how the culture has shifted, how people's perceived notions of Brazil have changed throughout the years.
Have you been back? Are you going back?
Yeah, I've been back. I plan to go back soon. I have couple of things that we usually go meet with artists in Brazil. We go back to connect with the culture. Yes, yeah, I was there recently, as far as 2 years ago.
When at these events, what about the Brazilian people themselves? Do they come to the events, and then what do they do they ask for help at the Brazilian Cultural Center of Chicago?
We have different types of activities. Mostly we are related to cultural education. We do translations. We are nonprofit-based, a volunteer-based organization. We're trying to change that a little bit more. But they usually, when you say that there is a festival, Brazilian festival, we used to do a festival called Viva Brasil. So the Viva Brasil, where you have the food, the dance, you have a display of Brazilian culture from different regions, and so that was very popular with the community. Not only with Brazilians, but with people who have a need to learn more about Brazil. We do go into the classroom. Students love it. Last time we did about almost like 200 children in one day, where we go to different classrooms and we do presentations about Brazil. We may do the Afro-Brazilian martial art. We work with the local artists who might present the dance, different types of dance.
What about the language? Maybe some of the parents want their kids to learn more about their native language. Are you able to help with that?
At this point, since we do not have a physical space, we are not offering language. We used to have it in the neighborhood. We used to have a room where we taught Brazilian Portuguese. We do the best that we can to promote the events in both languages, Portuguese and English, and we also have different types of channels where we can direct the people who are interested in learning more about the language.
Yeah, it's like they could come to you for resources, is what you mean?
Yes, yeah. We act as a hub and a resource.
And then when people come to your event, is it what is? I see that you were speaking there about a lot of the kids, right? And then what about what is the age range? Are there like any seniors too that want to reconnect with their roots and then want to learn more about Brazilian culture?
We actually it's all ages. We are family oriented. We do have some specific events that we are putting in place right now for children, but all the events is geared toward different types of families with young children and all different ages.
So for the a family type of events, what usually happens? How do you get the whole family involved?
Usually when you do an event, we have activities for children, right? We have activities for children, we have dance, we have how they can get involved. We have different groups in Chicago that cater to the Brazilian community. So we have different groups and social groups, and then that's how we connected with each other.
Yes, yeah. Well, it's a small world. We ran into you like I ran into you like one day, and then 2 days later, Bill ran into you, and that's
Yeah.
At the Park Advisory Council conference, the annual one.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah, the Park, Chicago
It's
Park
a small
District.
world. We're all working to do the best good together.
Yes, yeah. So I am part of different councils, and also cross-cultural advisory board for a couple different agencies and museums in Chicago.
Could you mention which Park Advisory Council you're a part of and what role you play in it?
Yes, I have just been recently elected as vice president of the Broadway Armory Chicago Park District, Broadway Armory Park in Edgewater, located in Edgewater by Broadway and Thorndale in that area.
And this location has the biggest indoor field house within the city of Chicago and the Chicago Park District.
Yeah, that's correct. And I think we have over 1,000 of people that we serve. in the community, especially children, different types of children programs in the park. And yeah. And I'm also in the cross-cultural advisory board for the Illinois Secretary of State.
And tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yes.
For that role, one of our objective is to connect to different communities. So one of the purpose of the cross-cultural advisory is to connect each individual with their own communities, so you be able to provide those type of services that they wouldn't otherwise have access to. So whenever we have a program that's put into place or any type of service that need advocacy, then we are there to make sure that you bring those information into the community. That's another one that I am so proud to be part of, and to work with people that are very dedicated to our community, and inclusive, very inclusive, because that's very important to us.
And what do people tell you that they need, the Brazilian community, if...
As far as the Brazilian community, usually it's very interesting, because as far as services, we focus more on education and culture, not social services. But they long for home. They have a word that we have is called saudades, which means it's missing, but it cannot even be translated into English because it's like a feeling. So for them, it's being able to get together. Brazilians are very, family oriented. We are family oriented, which means that in Brazil, you all have lunch together or dinner together. If you're coming from school, and you have, because our education is, we go in the morning to school, and then by noon you're at home. So when the kids come home, everybody have lunch together. So we're very family oriented. So for Brazilians who are living abroad, that's what they miss the most, is that
kind
that
of like
community.
Homesickness. Okay.
Yeah. And saudade is a little bit different, more than, because you can have saudades for food. You can miss your food. You can have saudades for food. You can have saudades for sound. So it's very interesting how we actually interpret it. Yeah, it's something that you actually feel inside. So for them, it's more for the Brazilians who are here, or either working, studying, or they have moved here, is that connection from home. Is that link that they don't want to lose from home.
And you did say that there's the food connection that links them to home. And did you say sound too? Sound?
Yeah, like a sound of music, like, oh, I miss this song, oh, I miss this. Yeah, you feel like you miss the sound, you miss the air, you miss, so that kind of feeling.
I see. And let's say we almost are out of time, but there's a very important question that I wanted to ask. When the kids, when you talk with the kids, what is the question that they ask you the most? And then please give us your contact information if our viewers want to learn more about you.
Okay, at the last, well, it's very interesting, because at the last program that we had at a school, some of them, they had, because we put a presentation together. Once you do the presentation, and most of the time, at least these teachers, because they were different classrooms, they had already introduced the students to different aspects of Brazilian food. One of them is brigadeiro, it's Brazilian chocolate truffles. We make it at home. The teacher went to a store here, a restaurant in Chicago, and bought it, brought to the classroom. They tasted it, they loved it. So after my presentation, they had a question about, I did the whole, like an overview of Brazil, like the Amazon, the rivers, the special animals that we have that there is nowhere else, like jaguar or the onça. So when I talk about, then they have questions about the jungle and what's the difference between having the trees in the city, because we have different types of forests. We have the rainforest, we have the Atlantic forest.
Maria, we are out of time. If our viewers want to learn more about you, where should they go?
They may contact me at Brazilian Cultural Center at Outlook.com. That's our email, Brazilian Cultural Center at Outlook.com. Or they may reach out to me at my phone, is 312-404-7180. 312-404-7180.
Thank you so much for joining us on Community Unity Now, the D Tycoon Show. And we will see you again next week.